Hey everyone, welcome to Love Your Body podcast. On today's episode, I have a special guest, Eden Gutierrez. Is that what you're gonna say? Yes, yeah. Okay, good. Which I love. And I said a question mark because we were just talking about that you just recently got married.
Yes, I did.
That is so incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we're gonna get into all of that, but there's so much to talk about. But I want to let them know kind of, how we know each other and everything like that. So Eden is actually a new client, which I'm so excited about, which is awesome. A food accountability client. And so tell me like your perspective, because you met me at the expo.
Yes.
So what was kind of that, what was all that like?
So, I mean, of course, I was there for a powerlifting competition.
Yes.
And so I had just finished like my first, we just got done squatting for the day, and I just broke the state record for that.
Heck
so, of course, I'm just like, I'm hungry. I need to find food. I'm going to walk around. Gonna look for clothes, of course, too, because why not? They have clothes. Got to find it. So we were walking around, and we were going up and down the aisles. And then, of course, I'm hearing the music. And I'm like, where's the music coming from?
Right.
So we're walking around. I look in the stage. And, of course, you're up there doing the little workouts. I'm watching everybody else do their thing.
Shaking my booty.
Yeah, I'm watching everybody else. I'm like, my mom's like, you want to do that right now? I'm like, I'm a little tired, but... And I tried some of I think they had the fight. Yeah, they had the fight there. I tried one of them. I don't remember which one I tried. Okay. But it was good. And we were talking. I mean, I was kind of like doing a little dance over there, like while they were doing it. But and then, of course, I didn't come back until like after for a little bit. Yes. And I mean, it was exciting. I loved talking to you. I loved the energy and everything. It was good.
Well, good. Well, I'm so glad. Yeah, no, I was at the Music City Fit Expo for everybody that was there that is listening. And so there's different things that happened at Expo. So they saw me on social media doing Move Fit. Yeah. There was a powerlifting competition. There's a strongman competition. Like there's so much going on. And so it was really special that we connected because one of my clients was like, you got to meet this girl. She's like this powerlifter, whatever. I was like, yeah. Like, just like, at those events, I'm like, just come up to me. Like, I'm like, just grab me because I'm going to be going every which way. And so that was so cool. And so I was like, you got this. Like, I think I remember us talking about that because I think you had, was it deadlift? Like,
I still had like deadlift left because they were doing benching, and that took like 2 hours to get through, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because I ran into you one more time before deadlift, and you were like, I don't know, you were eating something. I'm like, yeah, we're getting ready for deadlift now. Yes. I'm like, I'm about to go to the chiropractor real quick because my back was hurting.
100%. Well, tell us, okay, so you said that you hit a state record with that. Yes. So, and also for those listening, so Eden is actually going to be, so I'm mentoring her, which is super cool. And so I'm very excited and honored to do. And so I think it's going to be so special. And like, it's very challenging out here because you get, I'm sure already, like it could be overwhelming, right? And to know which path to go down. And also, is every opportunity an opportunity? Yep. Or, you're recently married as well. So there's like so many different facets. So I'm sure like go on. So I want to know all about you and everything, but let's tell them kind of what are your records that you have been, that you've recently hit.
So, so at that competition I had hit, I hit 250, like 253, I think. Cause with powerlifting, the numbers are really weird in kilograms, and it's just,
yes, and for those,
it's really confusing.
Well, and for those listening, let's also too, because I do want to explain. So powerlifting is different than strongman. So, for example, like if they've been listening and they saw like different things that I did, like strongman, there's 5 different events, right? And so you got to push, a pull, usually carry, medley, things like that. So with powerlifting, tell them what are the things you get to do.
Yeah, powerlifting is just squat, bench, and deadlift. So, and in that exact order also, you get 3 attempts for each lift. Typically, you kind of start with a lighter weight so the refs can see that you have the good form. Yeah. And they kind of get, depending the ref, they might get a little lenient with that. But second, you kind of go close to your max, maybe your max, if you're like going to try to go over that. Yeah. Third attempt is kind of all or nothing. You go for it, and they will take your highest number. That's a good lift. So 2 white lights or 3 white lights is a good lift right there. Okay. And that's out of the 3, say you don't get your third attempt, they'll take your second attempt. It's just how it is. So squat was 253. Nice. And then bench, I got 121. Barely. I fought for my life on that one though. Yes. And Before deadlift, because deadlift is my best lift, it is my favorite lift.
Yep.
I love it so much. That one is my favorite. So we had found out there were some smelling salts, and I was wanting to try them so bad.
Had you done those before?
No.
Girl, I can't. I cannot.
No.
I literally, that's a risk for sure.
Yeah.
I never did the smelling salts. I was,
Yeah.
all my friends did.
I found some at a booth, but then my dad had already gone off and found like another one, and he came back.
Yeah.
And I later found out this was the strongest one that he got.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that beforehand. So like when you opened it, I had it down here and I could smell it from all the way down here.
Right.
So I just closed that back up and I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait until deadlift to attempt it. First attempt, it was like, I don't remember my first attempt. It was like 265, easy lift. Next lift was 285. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a little whiff of it. So I had a little bit and I was like, okay, I'm good to go. I put it down. And the next attempt was 308.
Okay.
And so at this point, I'm like, because I've never hit 300. I've been wanting to hit 300 for so long. Because my goal was back in March. I'm like, okay, I'm going to hit 300 either before this competition or at the competition.
Yes.
And they didn't have a direct 300. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm just going to go for it.
Just add some change.
At this point, I had like barely any food in my system throughout that day. I was going off watermelon, Sour Patch Kids,
Yes.
a Rice Krispie treat, some pre-workout,
Right.
and like some bowl I had earlier in the day. So I'm like, okay, it's already like 7 o'clock at this point. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna get this. It's all or nothing. And I had my girls in the back hyping me up. Some of the guys were back there too.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the weight. They're racking it. I undo it. I bring it all the way up here.
Oh,
All the way up here.
No, girl.
And it's like I got trapped into smelling it. I couldn't stop. And I
Right.
finally put it down.
Yes.
And it was like, oh, Lord. My eyes started watering instantly. And it took the breath out of me.
It will, yeah.
I couldn't breathe until I got up to that bar. And I finally bent down and picked it up. And then as soon as I lifted up, that's when I got my breath back. And it just went up so easy.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That wasn't even a thing. I love it.
I put it down, and I was still like, I guess people thought I was actually just crying from the emotion of hitting it, and not from the
You're like, y'all don't even understand.
I'm like, no, I was crying up until because my husband had ran behind the back when I got back there, and he hugged me, and I was still like, my nose was running.
Yes.
It looked like I was full on just bawling my eyes out.
Oh my gosh. I believe it. More props to you. Like, not my vibe, man. I probably passed right out. Like, let's be real.
It's something I've made my friend I work out with. I made her try it one day.
Yeah.
She was not ready for that.
Yeah. It's the whole thing. All the dudes did it. Like, with strongman and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a staple, And, no, I love that. And so, after that meet, so like you won the meet, right? Or like,
I won in my division. Yes.
Okay, cool. And how, for those listening, so you're 19.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Let me say it again. She's 19 and lifting over 300 pounds. Right. So incredible. So when did you start lifting, like powerlifting?
Powerlifting was a sudden thing. Okay. So I don't remember. We were me and my mom were talking one day.
Yeah.
And because, of course, when I go on TikTok, I get all the gym TikToks. And I saw people powerlifting. So me and her one day were like kind of talking about it. And then, I went on YouTube. This was like a spur of the moment, I think, in March.
Okay.
Because that's when I found out, I think it was the competition we found out about the competition. And we're like, and then I got put on the wait list.
Okay.
So it was just something I didn't know if I was actually going to do the competition.
Yeah.
So I had my coach from the gym I go to back in Dayton. He kind of made me a program up until the competition.
Okay.
So we were kind of just going with it. I never knew if I was actually going to compete or not until a few weeks before.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, I'm just going to train for it. If I don't get to do it, I don't get to do it. I had the experience. But I've been lifting since I was 11.
Okay. Yeah.
But powerlifting is always like, that was a spur of the moment thing.
Sure. Yeah. So tell me about that. So, okay, 11 years old. Because some people listening are probably like, because, you have that whole stigma of like, should younger, especially females, right? Like be lifting and stuff. So when you say lifting, like, so you grew up in Dayton, Georgia?
No, I actually grew up in Smith County, Tennessee.
Oh, in Tennessee. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
So, basically, my dad's the one who got me into the CrossFit.
Nice.
But I had previously I was on a break from doing cheer for a little bit. So I think I just had broke my nose for the net point. So I'm like,
From like flying or
it was actually from basing.
Oh yeah.
So I got a nose, not a nose. I got a knee to my nose. And it just like, So, and I've always been, of course, since I was stronger with basing and all that, I was like, I wanted to like watch my dad go to class one day, and he let me come in and just watch, and I ended up messing around a little bit. So of course with CrossFit, that's its own little power move. And they had me lifting, and the coach that was there, the guy who was over all of it, he saw that I was too advanced for the younger kids doing it. So he had me move to the adult class.
Right.
So I was with like 30, 40, 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
Little 11-year-old me.
Right.
Like,
Right. Just hanging out.
Yeah. And I'm just like, of course, and it sounds like I'm bragging, but I'm not. I was outdoing I was outdoing everybody there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was giving everyone a run for their money.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm going to say, I mean, I'm freakishly strong. I can adapt to weights really fast.
Yeah.
So, of course, when I started doing it, I mean, I guess now when I look back at it, it's like I wasn't fully taught, like, if I look back at old videos, I'm watching, like, my form and stuff. I'm like, no one was really helping me that much in this, though.
Right.
But since I was 11, my coach, like, he, the CrossFit Games, he like illegally kind of put me in one of the competitions just to see how I'd go and doing everything. But he was also kind of saying at the same time, because I wasn't like, built like the older CrossFit kids that were like 15, 16. And he kept like going after my parents trying to get me on diets and stuff.
Yeah.
And trying to be like, she's proof that you can't outwork a bad diet and everything else. So that kind of, I ended up taking a break for a while, but I still loved being in the gym at the same time. But then I got back into cheer and the soccer, everything else. But at the same time, I was, I'd go to the gym every now and then, still get some lifts in.
So that really like had a mental, like that was the first kind of, I guess, time you would say that mentally you were just like taken back.
That was one of the times, yes. Even when I was younger with my biological father, he was not. He was very like obese, what you would say.
Okay.
And of course, he was on a bunch of things trying to lose weight. But since my parents were divorced at this time, when I'd go visit, whatever he was eating, I had to eat. And of course, it was whatever diet he was doing for that week.
Yeah, right.
So from a very young age, I've been doing diets and stuff just because.
Yeah.
People have said that.
Yeah, that's what you were exposed to, for sure. No, I definitely can empathize with that, especially from a young age. I remember going to middle school and having a Slim Fast, like just sitting on the table. Yeah. And then I was like, I kind of like looked around like nobody said anything. I was like, I'm going to go get a double chocolate muffin. You know what I mean? And like, forget this. Like, it was just like, it never made sense, and it was just like, and then bringing like the salads and like feeling like I'm starving and then being like, nope, I'm gonna go get some cookies after this. Like, but I had this salad, and not understanding. Yeah. And I competitively danced. So I danced since the age of 3. So, it was literally like I took every class possible. I danced literally, it would be after school, 3:30 to 5:30. Then I would go do competition 6:15 to 9. Yeah. Every day. Weekends, competitions and all that. And for me, it wasn't until people, like, as I was I was like strong body, like I was fit, but like when I had this acid reflux start happening, I got put on steroids for a while and my body composition completely changed. Yeah. And it was one of those moments where like we all would be eating regularly, like Subway, chips, this is back in Murfreesboro. So it was like when the borough before they had anything healthy. And so Subway was the healthiest. And so we would go and, everybody's like eating all this stuff from McDonald's, whatever. And then it was like one day someone was like, Haley, do you think that like you should be eating that? And it didn't even occur to me because like we'd all been doing that always. Yeah. The only thing that changed was how I looked. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so it was one of those things, but no one ever said it. And it was always this weird underlying where like I could be sitting here drinking my water and then someone's like, so how much, like, should you really be like, have you had enough water today? Like it was like a constant, but then nobody else was getting that. And it was just kind of like you feel alienated. Like you feel like, okay, well, this isn't really on me. I'm just eating what was brought to me or what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, that's really, for the longest time, that is how like I grew up. Cause I'd be over here doing like, just say I'm going to throw a random one out there, just like keto or something, just because it's the most popular one I could think of. I'd be doing that, and then I'm looking at everybody else. They're all kind of just like, eating their cookies and their bread. I'm going to say Texas Roadhouse. They're eating all the bread.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're just sitting there kind of just like, okay, I guess I can't have that, or whatever.
Or someone will be like, "Hey, why aren't you eating this?" Or and you're like, "Well,
yeah." And it's like a constant. It's just always on your mind, or it's always like a point of conversation, right? And my whole thing is like I was good with everything. I could dance. I could out jump everyone.
Yeah.
I could do all the tumbling. I did everything asked of me, right? And I'm sure you feel like that was
that's
like
how
lifting.
I was a cheer,
right?
That's how I was cheer for the longest time.
Yeah, and so you're like, so like, what's the problem?
Yeah.
But it's like not aesthetically pleasing, right? Or like what people would expect.
Yes.
And that was what always bothered me is I was like, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I feel like, and again, I was healthy. At no point were they like, high blood pressure or this, or you're at risk, or there was none of that.
Yeah.
It was literally simply just looks. You know what I mean? And so that's why I was like always, that was pretty much my basis of why I wanted to start my business, because of even dealing with that in college and things like that. So, I'm wondering as we will be tackling the food and everything like that, it is one of those things where always keeping the mindset of loving yourself at the forefront, right? And I don't know how you feel, but like for me, movement always helps me love myself more each day because you feel strong. And you feel capable, and you know that what you're doing is incredible.
That's how I feel when I go to the gym. Honestly, as soon as I walk in there, the gym is like where it is my place. It is. I don't care what everybody else is doing. I'm walking in there. I'm doing everything what's good for me.
Yeah.
And I instantly it doesn't even matter if it's a 5-pound weight for some lateral raises. I feel strong either way. So it's like.
No.
It's a good confidence boost for me anytime I go in there.
For sure. I love that. And that's so important. So you've been, moving your body, and in the gym and everything like that. And so you kind of got into this powerlifting thing, and you're like, okay, so how was like the meet? And like, do you feel like that is something that, powerlifting is like your jam, like like moving forward? Like, you have other goals? Like what's kind of with that?
So this is actually something I've been thinking about through it. So, of course, that competition was my first competition setting. I always do good in competition settings, though. So it's like I thrive in that kind of pressure.
I feel you, yeah.
So when I'm doing that, at first I was kind of nervous because I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm over here sitting here with my little Sour Patch Kids. Yeah. And, well, the lady that's been helping me with my program recently, she found me someone to like kind of be my handler back there and help me like know what numbers I need to throw up.
Okay, cool.
And she helped me with my warm-ups. And as soon as I got comfortable with talking to everybody, there was only 10 girls competing out of 70 people.
Wow, yeah.
So of course,
I believe that though.
Yeah, powerlifting is a male-dominated sport.
Yep.
But so I of course made friends with them really fast while we were warming up, and it's like throughout the day, you're around everybody for almost 8 hours.
Right.
And so, of course, you get close to people, you start talking to them, you start sharing snacks and stuff like that. And it's like, it's a really good atmosphere back behind the curtains or in the little warm-up room because everybody's just like pushing each other.
Right.
I mean, of course, we're competing, but it's more of like, to me, powerlifting is me against me, not me against everybody else.
Exactly.
If I throw up a pound higher than what I did the last time, that's automatically a win for me.
Yes, exactly.
So I loved the adrenaline rush I had all day.
Yeah.
I loved meeting people and just having that support there the whole time. I loved cheering people on. And it was like, I mean, of course people were like older than me. I wasn't the youngest there, but I was one of the youngest there.
Right, yeah.
And so, of course, I'm watching people throw up weight, and I'm like, I've never seen that done before.
Yeah.
Like, I watched a guy bench over almost 800 pounds, and I was like,
incredible, yeah.
I was mind blown that day. And I'm actually doing 2 more competitions. I'm doing one in Indiana, and I'm doing Worlds in December.
Right.
So
what's the one in Indiana? What is it called?
What is it called? I don't remember what it's called.
That's okay. No worries.
Rebel
something?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, yeah, but I'm excited for that one. That one's October 19th.
Okay,
and
cool.
the other one's December 5th.
Nice.
So we're going to be all decked out Christmassy for that one.
I love that. Yeah, because
Yes.
you like the whole sock vibe, right? We talked about that a little bit.
Yes, socks.
So you're gonna have some cool like.
You're gonna have some
socks.
cool socks. You're gonna have to. I'll have to send you some pictures of those.
Yes, I'd love to see it, girl. Man, that'll be awesome.
Gonna have to rock some reindeer socks.
Yep, that'll be so good. Do you wear like the powerlifting suit? Is that like a thing?
Yeah, the little singlet.
The singlet,
Yes.
yeah. So you have the singlet, and then you got some cool socks and everything.
Yeah,
I
you gotta
love
have the
that.
little compression shirt underneath. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it's always funny the different like attire for each sports. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
like with strongman, I never like. It was just funny because like everybody was always usually wearing like leggings or something, and I was always in, like short booty shorts.
Yeah.
And like I was like, I'm just gonna wear what I feel comfortable in, you know, whatever, and rock it. Because
Yeah.
when you feel good, like it's like that's when you are successful and you're
Yeah.
most confident, you know. And so I love that. So rock on with it.
Well, yeah, when I
That's
found out about like it's at singlets, because I was like, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
And then when I tried it on, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of vibing with this a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't feel like I'm a wrestler or anything, but I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like, okay, I can do this. It's not something that was like completely making me like uncomfortable or something like that.
Right.
I was like, just
Do you have a belt? Did you deadlift that with a belt?
yeah, I had a belt.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was
where
about
there
to
was
say.
for the longest time I wasn't doing a belt, and my mom's best friend stood up one day. She was
Yeah.
like, do you have a belt? You're gonna hurt your back.
Yes, 100%.
So we invested in the one. I love it. She's blue and sparkly.
Yeah.
So, got them from Muscle Hoodies. So they were really good. I love that belt.
Yeah.
Just one.
Nice.
It's safe in my back, honestly.
my belt that I've had since 2018, and since like right before, like a year before I flipped the tire and stuff, and it's held up really well. I don't even remember where I got it from, but I actually today Pioneer Fit did a custom belt for me.
Oh, I saw
And
that.
Did you see that?
I saw that. I was like, I love it.
It's so sick, and I was like, wow, like that was so cool. But like that is one of those things where, and we've talked about this in terms of like the mentorship and stuff of like literally like it's always a no until you ask.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I had seen, because I've been trying to manifest and be like, I really do need a new belt, just because like that belt has so many beautiful memories, like my one, whatever. But it was royal blue when I got it. It's dusty now. Like it's like pale, and also it hurts me, like
Yeah.
it doesn't like because I was again like just trying to tighten it up now and whatever. It's just annoying, and I get marks and stuff, and I was just like, I'm just over it, you know.
Yeah.
And so I kind of been like manifesting it, and I don't even know where I saw somebody, I think had put them up or whatever. Anyway, so I reached out, I was like, hey, would love to rep this. I clearly need a new one. Da-da-da-da-da. And they were like, we got you.
Yeah.
Like, we'll send it out and stuff. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, that's great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, which was awesome. And worked with me and was like really responsive, whatever. But it was just, again, putting that intention out there of the
Yeah.
things that you need, because people that believe in you and believe in your message will, just like I was talking with the sponsored home
Yeah.
gym, like, I thought I was going to have a hard sell on that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was literally like, look, like I was kind of at a loss, because I sat here brainstorming. I'm like, how can I operate in this reality, right? Of
Yeah.
preparing for a prep, but also going in where I was training at another gym, going there in the morning. So I was waking up at 3:30 in the morning to have to like go get my stairs in, then do my workout, then go shower, then train clients all day long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was exhausting. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to have a good prep. I'm not going to be able to compete well. Like it's just going to be, whatever. And so I was sitting there, I was like, okay, if we could renovate that shed, which we did in a day, like getting everything
Really?
out of there, we got everything out of there in a day. And then we had a contractor come out. It took him like a week. He added electrical plugs and whatever. And after that, we did all the painting and stuff like that. But then at that point, I was like, how could I get like a Stairmaster? Or how could I get this in here? Like stuff for myself.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about for my clients yet. But it was just like, okay, brainstorm. Who have you talked to? Who have you met? Who have you seen? And so I try to do a really good job of either writing those people, like just throughout your journey, having like a list.
Yeah.
And this is something huge to have. And I'm not that organized, so don't everybody's quote me like, you ain't got a list. Okay, I got a list in my mind. But
Yeah,
like,
that's how I feel. I'm
right?
like, it's up here. I promise.
But really though, if I could like, and I have done it before, and it's somewhere, I have to find it, but like even had emails on it and having whatever, but like a list of like potential sponsors and people that you can reach out to or whatever. And I had remembered that I did a speaking engagement, or that I was like in talks with this like this music City Fit Con or whatever. And I had done a speaking engagement there, and I was like, I know that they have equipment. And then I was like, I should reach out to that person that was on the email thread. It was like not even the main person. It was like a person that I remember on the email thread. And then I reached out to him and about like the equipment. I was like, could I do a trade and whatever? And did this whole proposal with them. And they were like, yeah. And so literally got the Stairmaster, got the bench, whatever, to be able to help them, but then also help me.
Yeah.
Okay. And then from there, even before that, I was like, okay, I noticed on my socials, and this is something too to keep in, y'all are getting a little mentoring session right now. But to get like keeping your mind of that, like somebody kept the Crane Fitness, they kept liking all my stuff.
Yeah.
And I saw them, I never had met them. I didn't know them. Like I had never met them at Expo before. And I'm just like, I don't know who they are. And I remember seeing them. I'm like, Crane Fitness, like what do they do? So I look at their whole site, look at whatever. I'm like, veteran owned. Okay. Female owned. Okay. All right. Cool. So I just reached out, DM'd them like, hey, listen, this is the vibe. I already have like these two things, but like I really could use a squat rack. I could use, whatever. And they were like, yeah, whatever you need. And I was like, cool. Like, should we have a contract? Like, is it like whatever? Like, they're like, Dani, we love what you're doing. Tell us what you want. And I was like, but I want to be clear. Like, do I need to like post about it? Or they're like, you do whatever makes your heart happy kind of thing. And they're like, we're happy to come in and do it for you. Yeah. And then like their mirror guy then came out, and the mirrors that you just saw in there.
Oh yeah, the mirrors are nice.
The mirrors do you know how much that would have been? They quoted it would have been $3,000. And the guy was so sweet and for me, I'm like, for mirrors, like for real. Anyway, but the guy was so sweet. He said, well, I know the arrangement you guys have. I'll honor it. Ooh, and I was like, okay, like I didn't even ask, right? But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so it was one of those things where just like being cognizant of like who's liking my stuff, who is sharing, who's, it's like commenting, interacting, like all those things. Yeah. Because you never know where that opportunity is going to be, and even remembering those people. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And so anyway, so it's a good thing. In terms of like that you went to a big expo, you got to meet people, you got to see people, right? Yes. Make connections. And again, doesn't always have to be monetary value, whatever, monetary value, but like it can be, in the trade and stuff like that, if it's something that you're manifesting and you're needing. Yeah. Right. So when you have your show, your competitions coming up. Yes. So and I wanted to go back to, you said with the 250, what was it for the squat?
For squat, 253.
Okay, you said that was a state record?
Yes.
Okay, so tell them a little bit like about the state records.
So state records, those are, you can usually find them on like the competition website usually. And so you kind of course, got to look up your weight class, the age division, all of that. You got to find out everything. And sometimes they'll let you know like what the record was, and if you know you can get it, you have to let them know right before and be like, hey, I'm about to attempt a state record in a second, so and they'll announce it right before you go up, and I'm like, okay.
Like no pressure. I'm
just like, and of course I was attempting to break a record in every one that day. So I broke it in squat and in deadlift. Nice. The deadlift was 300, so I was like, if I can get a little bit over it, I'll be doing great. Yeah. Squat, I don't remember what squat was, if I'm being completely honest. Bench, almost had it. I'm still warming up the bench, so of course she's a little on the weaker side, but we're working on it. Yes. But so yeah, that's usually I'm gonna see. Of course, I'm going to keep going to try to break some more if I can, obviously, but...
Right. So with the state records, so for example, like this next meet that you go to, like if you do 309, then like it just like you just broke another state record like that. Is that how it works?
Yes.
Okay.
So like me going out of state, I can still break records from Tennessee, and they'll like let you know if you break.
It. Yeah. Like okay.
So actually, my new deadlift is 310 because I had a friendly powerlifting meet at my home gym. So my squat right now is 260. And bench is like 3. I'm not 3. Whoa. 1. I was like, no, we ain't doing that. It's like 125, and then deadlift is 310. So we're moving up.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening to the Love Your Body podcast. If you haven't yet, please make sure to follow on all platforms. Dani Fitness 1. If you're someone looking for food accountability coaching, in person, online training, maybe you just want to be a part of the community or come on as a guest, please feel free to reach out at Dani@DaniFitness.com, or you can just DM me, you guys, on Dani Fitness 1. And we have a lot of upcoming things happening, whether it's the 5K for enslaved women. I'll be doing a Move Fit warm up there August 10th. Super excited about that. Also, I'll be having my Fight for What You Want challenge like I do yearly. This is going to be really special, and I'll start in September. And also, if you haven't yet subscribed to the Patreon, please make sure to look at that for exclusives on all things Dandy Fitness and Danielle Dyer. See ya.
Hey guys, I just want to say thank you for having me today. I loved it. And if you want to reach out to me or just look and follow my journey, you can find my Instagram, Eden, Lucie, Daniel on Instagram, or I'm also doing TikTok as well. So you can do whoa, it's, there's no apostrophe, just it's _Eden. And I'm also going to be posting more on there as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. And that's so impressive and so amazing. And, again, it reminds me so much of with strongman. Like literally was thrown into it like a week before competition.
Oh yeah.
And it was just like, yeah, let's go. And it was one of those things where I was like, I mean, can I see some of the implements? Like, what am I? I've never lifted a sandbag. I've never done any of these things. And sometimes I feel like those are the best things. Like just like, because I feel like with a lot of stuff, like in my life is so regimented and so routine. But when it's just like, hey, let's just go do this. It's like, okay, let's throw down,
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. I'm like, okay, let's go.
Exactly. Oh, it's so cool. And the other thing I was going to say, so to talk a little bit more about just like the personal and stuff.
Yeah.
So right now, like you and your husband live together? Like, are y'all in your, like, is it with your
We have married
family?
housing on campus.
Okay, that's what I was confused. Okay.
So we're like literally right behind campus down there. So yes, we are living together. We moved in June.
Okay.
So we have our little husky baby. I say he's a baby, but he's he's a big boy.
Okay.
He thinks he's a baby, but he's not. So it's just us down there. We get to live down there for the rest of the time we're there.
Okay, cool.
So
yeah, so is the college like a specific like I've never heard of a college having that like besides like military based ones. So like is this just like a regular like they have married housing? Like
yeah, a lot of colleges. Sometimes you gotta ask for them. Sometimes they don't make it known they have it. So if you're like, hey, do you happen to have this?
Not that I ever had to worry about it. Everybody's listening like, okay, Dani, that's why you don't know about this.
It's like one of those things you have to look into beforehand. Like, hey, do you happen to have this? Because like we went into college knowing we were gonna get married after our first year.
Okay, cool. Because y'all, tell them your like little story. Because y'all have known each other for like your whole lives, right?
Basically, so third grade is when I actually figured out he existed, but. For a while. So, of course, we've gone to school since third grade. 6th grade, he was a little booty hole and decided to, pick on me and stuff. So, of course, when he picked on me, I did it back. Yes. And, of course, Mom was a little bit more aggressive, I guess he will say. Okay. Up until 7th grade, and this is a funny story, and I'm never going to live it down for as long as I live. So originally he was going to ask me out on New Year's because he was in Mexico with his dad for this point. So he was going to ask me out. He didn't happen because it was too late and he just was too tired at that point. So he decided to ask me out at 2:00 in the morning on his way back from Mexico on January 9th. And so I, of course, said yes. But it being 2:00 in the morning, and I'm in 7th grade at this point, I'm like, okay, I got school the next morning. He didn't go to school the next day. Okay. So I went to school, just, la-di-da-di-dog through the whole day. I get back in the car with my mom, and I'm like, I had the weirdest dream last night.
So you didn't think it's real?
I didn't think it was real. I went that whole first day of us dating forgetting we were even dating. So she's like, yeah, you came in the room and told me about this. I was like, oh, wow. Oh, no.
You're like, this is happening. This is real life.
Yeah, that's okay. So that was the whole first day. We've been together ever since. Over 6 years now. Okay. So, of course, going into it, for a while we were talking about, I got promise ring year three. And we were talking about, okay, how are we going to do this? Yeah. And because we had decided early on, okay, we're going to go to the same college together. Yeah. And
this is all in Smithville or
Smith County.
Smith County. Okay, gotcha.
So we're all, we're talking about this, and so we were trying to do we want the college experience or do we want to go ahead and marry it? And we came to the conclusion we want the college experience with the roommates and everything else, the whole 9 yards in the dorms. So we're like, okay, we're gonna do this. We'll get married the summer going into our sophomore year. Yeah. And we'll just do married housing so we could say we did it, you know, all that. So we decided early on that we were gonna do that. But then we had to like figure out, okay, do they have married housing for us for all of that? Because that's a big deal, apparently.
Right.
Because of course we go to a Christian college anyway.
Okay, so it's a Christian college.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
So that was a lot of stuff to figure out and plan.
Was y'all's middle school and high school a Christian?
No.
No, it was
No,
okay.
we had public school, everything else, the whole 9 yards of a small town public school.
So what was the decision for Christian school?
So to be honest, I didn't even know Brian existed until one of my friends started going there, and that's how I figured he played soccer. He played soccer there, but that's how I found out that it kind of was a thing. Yeah. And I talked to him about it a little bit, and then I found out I had another friend that goes there. So I started talking to both of them, and of course I'm saved and everything. So it was just I visited one that time, practiced with the team, and I was like, you know what? Okay, I can get into this a little bit. And I ended up visiting so many times before my senior year. Like I was committed and everything by the end of junior year.
Okay, nice.
And I had signed, and so last couple of times I was bringing him there to see if he liked it, and he really did. So it was like, okay, you think we can go here? We can be married here. We can go through everything else together. Yeah. So of course, like when it comes to that, we had to make a lot of decisions. Like, okay, can we do this together for the next couple of years? And so, yeah, it was it was a lot.
Yeah. So and you say signed. So that was first to
so
play
signed
soccer?
for soccer. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yes. Then he signed like in October of senior year.
Okay, very cool. So did you get scholarship to go?
Yes, we got scholarship. Me and him both got scholarships to go there. I'm at Brian on a full ride right now. So
hey, look at that little flex. Little flex.
I had to do a little flex there for a second.
Of course, that's huge.
Yes.
I love that. That's so special. And how far is that away from your like home? Like,
so
hometown?
Dayton. So that's where we are right now. Of course. So Dayton from Smith County is 2 hours plus the time change in the Eastern time zone. So of course you got to add that in there.
Okay.
So it's. Gotcha. Well, if you take the interstate, of course, through Crossville, it's like almost 2 hours, but it's not as bad.
Okay.
So but the way I usually take is like the whole back way is like 2 hours plus some.
Okay. So how often do you get to go like back?
We try to go at least once a month because we have my grandparents live in Smith County. So we try to, of course, my little brothers, they like to go see them. So we try to get them.
So does your dad drive every day? Like,
no, we have a house in Dayton.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah,
okay.
yeah,
okay.
we don't make that drive.
Okay.
That's
Gotcha.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, we have when my dad got the position there, they were able to find a house to live in for a while. We're there, of course, and since he's the head department, so yeah. Nice. It's like an 8-minute drive there now.
Okay, love it. Okay, very cool. That's awesome. So, but family surrounding.
Yes.
So it's like nice. So how did your parents feel about your husband?
They love him from.
Yeah.
Okay, ignore that. Ignore that.
She's Mama's here,
no,
so
ignore.
She's like,
yeah.
she's saying all the things.
No, ignore that. No, they do love him. They do love him. Don't listen. Ignore that.
Okay.
Yeah. My dad was a strong supporter, of course, but him being dad has his own little things. My brothers love him. My grandparents love him.
Yeah.
My grandpa was driving him around on the golf cart on the wedding day.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So my whole family loves him. My best friend, who of course I think of as a sister, she loves him. I think. She's her own little.
I love that. That's awesome. So, the other thing I was going to ask about that is, so were you nervous at all to get married so young?
Not really. Yeah. It's like, I wasn't one of those girls who, like, there's a lot of people who have their dream wedding already planned out, their wedding dress done. Yeah. They have exactly where they want to be married, everything done, but like in middle school. Yeah. I was not one of those people for like the longest time. Even like when we were engaged, I was still not, like when I got my wedding dress, I didn't have my dream dress. I didn't have a dream dress. Yeah. I went in there open-minded. I'm like, okay, I'm going to walk in here. We're going to figure something out, I guess. Yeah. And
which it looked beautiful, by the way. I saw some photos.
That was the first dress I tried on, too.
And that's always the best. That's all, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just being like, I feel good in it. Like, I love it. Like,
yes. I tried on 3 dresses that day, I think. Yeah. And after I tried that one on, I put on the others. I was like, nope, get it off me. Put me back in the other dress, please. Yeah. And once I confirmed that, the lady who was like helping me that day, she took my hand because I was just chilling. She put it in the pocket. I was like, it has pockets.
Yeah. Now you're like, I'm sold.
I was like, you know what? If I wasn't sold before, I am now.
I love it.
And that was. it was a lot of people were like, I didn't expect you to be in that kind of dress. I was like, that's the thing. Because that's why I was like, people are not going to expect me to be in this kind of dress because it kind of had a little classic look to it.
Yeah.
And, people who know me are going to be like, thought they were going to go like all out type thing. And I mean, to me, that was all out. I mean, she had a little corset in it too. And she had like, she was pretty big, but it also had a thing where like you can tie it up and it kind of made it smaller. Yeah. So of course made the first dance easier.
Your body. Yeah, for sure. So what is the, I don't know, biggest, I guess, thing you've learned so far from being married?
Of course, with being married, you have to, and living together, you have to get used to each other's living style and all that. So, of course, you have coming from two different families and how you're raised and like how everything goes in households. You're combining it to two people now. Yeah. So I guess that's the biggest thing is like we're learning how to like be around each other all the time and get used to each other's habits and everything
it's different
else.
From when you have been dating, even though you know each other for so long, right?
But I get the question of how's married life? I'm like, it's the same it was 6 years ago. I promise. I'm like, it has not changed. Yeah. And I'm like, even with our dog, like we've had him for a while too. Yeah. So what? I forgot 4 years. Yeah. Yeah, we've had him for 4 years. So it's not even we're having to accommodate to him either. He's just prancing around everywhere. So he's living his best life.
I love that. So you are on a full ride, but then you're doing soccer. And so like, do you also teach soccer or do you coach soccer or are you just on the team?
I'm just on a team, but like they have a little little small teams there in the county. So I have helped coach there. I coached my little brother's team last season. Okay. So that's just for volunteer stuff. But I do, I'm a keeper on the girls team.
Okay. So. Gotcha. And then what does he do for work?
He's in an engineering program there. Nice. So he's gonna get that money. But he's getting that. As of right now, like to actually bring us in some like money for us in general so we can get some like groceries and all that. He's working at a local restaurant. Okay. They're just trying to help us bring in money. I'm trying to bring in money where we can. Yeah. So it's just, of course, it's having to do all that also. So it's like, yeah.
And what's your degree?
Exercise and health science. I want to be an athletic trainer with a minor in strength and conditioning. So I love it. We're doing it. That's a lot of people are like, that fits you. And I'm like, thanks. I'm glad it does.
No, it's something you're passionate about already and that you've shown that you love. And that's what's so important. Some people don't have the direction, and that's the hardest thing too, is it's like, I feel like so many times there's like pressures to have to go down a certain path, and it seems like you've been able to really be supported, for whether it's your husband or your family and things like that, and that they believe in you.
Yes, they have been my biggest supporters. And a few of my friends, of course, have backed me for the longest time. They're like, you know what, just do what you love, do what feels right to you. Yeah. And they're like, we'll support you the whole time.
I love that. So, and you're in your sophomore or
Yes, I'm going into my sophomore year right now. Okay. I'll be a junior in December. Okay. So I, came in with some extra credits. I'll be ending a little early, but that's why I'm minoring as well. So I can get all that in.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I totally get that. So what about in terms of it being a Christian college, right? So is it, how does that go? Like, do you guys have like Bible study? Do you have like, what is it?
So basically with it being Christian college, we have chapel. That's kind of like, I'm not even going to say an hour. It's like 50 minutes. Okay. We have it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's like, we have a whole worship. We have someone we might have a guest speaker or something like that. They give a devotion for the day. Nice. And then we'll go right to class after. So we do have the things that are RAs, or we can make our own little, we call them D groups, but they're like Bible study groups. Love that. We don't have to have them, but like it's a choice that we can join them and all that. It is a very open space. It's a non-denominational, but it is I'm going to say like it's a place that's very faithful and all that. Yeah. So it's, I just worked a camp last week.
I love that. Yes. What camp was it?
It was the Summer Institute. We have a bunch of kids from all over, like if they want to come. Yeah. They get to spend a week at the college. Nice. They take classes in the day. I was on the activities team, so of course I had the fun games and stuff like that. It. Yeah. So we were doing that, and I didn't have to be in small groups because I wasn't a counselor, so I wasn't a head over some kids. But when someone let me join their group, and let me be with them for the week. And they ended up doing like a little adoption ceremony because I was originally wasn't supposed to be in there, but I watched them like go from, it was literally the most random group of people you could have put together. But at the end of it, they were all laughing. Like we were crying, laughing.
Yeah.
And it was like, I just watched them all grow. And it was, I loved seeing it.
That's huge.
It was something I chose to do too. I didn't have to be in there. It was like, you know what, I'm going to go in here.
Yeah.
And they were a little awkward the first day. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go back. I'm going to see how this goes. And then they were all starting to warm up to me and everything. And we were all like doing worship together. It was a beautiful thing, and I loved it personally.
Yeah. No, that's so special. I'm so jealous because so I went to a Christian school growing up until 7th grade, and so it's basically like homeschooling, but within a classroom. So like essentially the classroom was like as big as the space here.
Oh, okay.
And like I would sit in like a desk and like have my headphones and a TV, and I'd watch someone teaching a classroom of kids, if that makes sense. And they'd be like, boys and girls at home, what's the answer? And I'd be like, 10. And then they'd be like, no. And then I'd be like, awesome. Let me try it again, or let me fast forward to get the answer. So anyway, so it was very like that, but I had Bible every morning, and it was awesome. And we were on a ranch and everything. So there was like the summer camp that was there, and I loved the summer camp, and and just had devotional and everything, and it was beautiful. And then I ended up going to public school in 7th grade just because it did get to the point where I also danced. And so I had some issues just with like negativity from like a different principal, and like things changed and stuff. And so I ended up going to public school. And that was kind of like a whirlwind, but basically the whole path with the Christian school was that to end up going to a Christian college. And so anyway, so that kind of sparked that memory in me of like, man, like that was the goal for so long, to go to one.
Yeah.
And again, that wasn't what the path was supposed to be. So it didn't happen that way. But I think that's so special that you get to go and get to do that. And was so has your husband always been like saved and been faith-based, or?
No, we are still like working on that. He's building towards it. It's something we're growing in together as well, because I'm still I'm not going to say like new to it, but I am still growing in a lot of things, so we're doing it together.
We're always growing in it. We're always growing in our faith and being of the Spirit. And it's beautiful to see you setting such an example, whether it's in strength, whether it's for your family, even whether it's, because now you're working on, eating better and eating cleaner, and, and that's going to transcend to help your husband and like for like longevity and maybe your kids someday. And and so it is beautiful to see. And especially, of having faith at such a young age, because in a world where people will tell you that that's not cool, or that's not, you know what I mean? Like all the things that I'm sure you've experienced. And but it is, and it's beautiful. And so no, you have such a good head on your shoulders, and I love to hear this. I will say, like, one of my friends close to me, it is like with also like her husband he's on his way towards, so it can be a struggle.
Yes.
But it is something that is beautiful, and he's working through them every day together.
Yeah, especially since like we know we want to build our future family on the foundation of Christ and everything else. We want to have a Christ-centered family.
Yeah. So. I love that. That's so great. So was that instilled in you like by your mom, would you say, when you were younger? Or was that something that like you guys always just went to church and you were just like, like,
it was, I'm not going to say like kind of instilled, but it's like something I grew up with her, like, she had me like a little book, and she had like little Bible verses in it and all that. So it's something I would read and all that. And even for college, she did the same thing with my Bible for there. She wrote little Bible verses in it for like different occasions and stuff like that. She's like, so when you need to feel strong or something, she wrote something down there. That's awesome. So it's something like it's always been open to talk about.
Yeah.
So it's not something that was like, oh, you need to be this way. You just needs to. It's just something that's always been open. If I ever had questions, she'd be the one I'd go to for that, and she'd answer them. Or if she couldn't answer them, we'd find a way.
That's so great. I love that. So, and then you said that you have brothers or a brother?
Brothers.
Brothers, okay.
Yes.
So you have older, younger?
I have one older brother.
Okay.
He just had a baby, so I have a nephew now also.
Oh, nice. Okay, I love that.
And I have 2 younger brothers.
Okay, gotcha. So tell me a little bit about them. What's going on with them?
So my older brother, we adopted.
Okay.
So we got him out of a bad family situation, and we took him in. And he's the one who got me into soccer and everything else. He kind of kept me in the gym a little bit during that time and during high school and all that. He's couple years older than me.
Okay.
So, he turns 22 this year.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, and he just had his little baby. He's like a couple weeks old now. And
oh wow, like
2 weeks.
new.
Like he's fresh.
Yeah,
he is the most. I got to hold him the other day. He's the most cutest thing ever. Yeah. Love him. And then I have my 2 younger brothers. I have my middle brother Jackson he has autism.
Okay.
I talk about him a lot.
Yeah.
And then I have my youngest brother Wyatt. He is like, I like to say my little mini-me a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Because he wants to be a goalkeeper. When I started watching gym videos, I'd catch him. This was like the first day in the apartment. I love this. I was watching some like powerlifting video, and he's in the corner doing some push-ups in there.
Oh,
and he's like,
yes.
I want to do some push-ups now. And I'm like, okay, Wyatt, you got it.
That's awesome. How old is he, you said?
Wyatt is going to be 10 in November. Jax will be 11 in November.
Yeah.
My brother will be 22 in November. They're all...
Yeah. That's
I'm the odd one out in January, so it's okay.
Okay. No worries on that. But okay, so that's so cool because like you remind me that reminds me of, like my niece and like because I was doing push-ups or something and then she started doing them and like and it's just it is so powerful and they see that and they're gonna be able to look up to you. Like I know for me, my nieces and nephews, like they grew up in Shelbyville, okay, so very small, you know. And everyone around them only sees a certain dynamic. They see like people getting married young, and then they see the female just kind of doing, you know, just, you know, whatever. And not that that's bad, but it's one of those things where like genuinely my oldest nephew's name is Wyatt. And like, but he's even said, he's like, you're one of the only like strong females, or like, you know, they'll be like, you're the strongest female we know. Yeah. And they mean that like mentally, physically, everything, because you know, they're proud of the business, they're proud of all these things, but they've never seen that before. Yeah. You know? And so it's, you think about it. And even in this world, when you think about like, oh, everybody probably knows this, or this has been done before, this has been whatever. For some people, you're the first impression they have of a strong female. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that is so special and that is so cool. And so it's like, I don't take that lightly, you know? Oh yeah. And so that is huge. You know?
It's like, even at the camp, there was a few girls because my dad had a few of the girls in his little class, and he was talking about me. I didn't even know he was talking about me until one of the girls were like, "Are you eating Daniel?" I'm like, "Yes." Yeah. They're like, "We had your dad." I was like, "Oh Lord, okay." Right. I'm like, whatever he said, it might be wrong. I don't know.
Right. Because he's a professor. He teaches what?
He teaches all kinds of classes in exercise health science.
Nice.
But he was telling them that I lift, and a lot of the girls came up to me. They're like, "We hear you lift." I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we love doing this and doing that." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I love this." That's so great. And even then, I like the friendly meet. My brother was there, Wyatt, and he was watching it, and he's like, "Can I lift up that bar? Like, how much is that plate?" He was like asking all the little questions, and he wanted to lift it up, and he was trying to like bicep curl, I think a 10-pound weight. He's like, "Look, I'm doing it," and he's like struggling. I'm like, "You got it, Wyatt." Oh, I love that. That's so special.
So with Jackson, you said how old is he?
He is 10 right now.
Okay, so he's 10. So you said he has autism.
Yes. He has
okay,
autism.
So how has that been operating, kind of navigating that?
So he got really sick when he was like 2. Okay. And for a while he stopped talking, he stopped eating. Like you saw his teeth were starting to like lose the nutrients and everything else. And for the longest time we were like, we're ever gonna hear him talk again? Because he just stopped. Wow. And like you could tell he wasn't the same, you know, going around, you know, living life. He was kind of just sitting there, kind of just like watching. He'd watch TV. He'd just sit there. He wouldn't do anything. And I'll say he is the boy that, like, because for the longest time I grew up only child. He is the kid that I asked my mom, I'm like, I want a sibling, please. Yeah. So of course, like, I have that. I was the first one to hold him. Oh, wow. I have that relationship with him. Right. So of course, anything that's like related to him is like automatically to me. It can help me. It can change my emotions. It also pushes me to be. So when everything started happening, like, for a while, I don't know how long it was before we heard him talk again, but like it was a couple, like a year maybe. I think a year. And it hurt because I'm like, I'm watching him and he's just, you know, he's just there. Yeah. And of course to me that's like, this is the person, he is who I wanted to make me not feel lonely anymore. Right. And I'm watching him not even be able to talk, and I'm like,
That had to be so hard.
Yeah, it was the hardest. It still kind of is because, of course, we've had significant growth since that time.
Right, right.
We've taken him, like we took him to Disney, and he had such a big jump then.
Okay.
And he was so happy. Like that was the first time I've seen him smile so big in such the longest time. And like anything that's related to him, just like just being so happy, it makes me cry, honestly, because it's like I watched him not talk and just be himself, and now anything that he's just so like passionate, like anything, if he gets Bluey, we took him to Bluey Live, he was so happy to see that, and it literally makes me so happy because I know where we were, and I know where we could be,
right,
with like, because of course he is in, I'd say, the higher of the spectrum, and so I know autistic people who don't talk, they're kind of just there. There's different forms of it, but I know where we could be, and I know where we were. So I'm grateful for where he's at right now. Yeah. And he is who pushes me to, stay on track for everything. So I'm like, I'm doing this for him. I do everything for him. Yeah. Even because because he won't be able to live alone one day. That's kind of where he is. He won't be able to be alone without a caregiver. Yeah. So I'm like, when my parents are here, I'm going to be sure that I have the finance for it. I'm going to be in a good place in life where I'm able to take care of him from like, even if I have to get him a caregiver, or if he has to be with us, I'm going to be sure he is not going into any home or anything like that. So everything I do is
your
for
motivation.
That. Yes, he is. Yeah.
I love that. That's so powerful. And I think that, is as hard of a struggle, it sounds like mentally and everything. It sounds like you're pretty grounded with it, and not, I know so many people who are resentful or they're, just living in a very negative state of mind when things that are not the typical, right, happen. Yeah. And it's kind of living in that space, but it sounds like, genuinely you guys are just rising to the occasion of being like, okay, not only am I just going to like get by, right, or like of how we like take care of things or whatever, but like I'm planning for the future. Yeah. Already.
Even my husband, I made it very clear from like the beginning. I'm like, if you're not okay with him, like the chance of us having him at any point in the future, then I'm like, I can't. Because I'm like, he is who he will be with me. Yeah. So he's like, okay. And he's accepted it, and of course he's helping me work towards that. Yeah. Jackson loves him. Good. Jackson loves like anything computer related. So of course him and Jordan they get along. It's perfect.
Yeah, they vibe with that.
They get along very well with that. So yeah.
Oh, that's so special. So, in terms of thinking about, with school and everything and balance and stuff, do you ever get overwhelmed? Do you ever get like stressed out? Like what's kind of...
She has her moments.
Yeah. Yeah.
She has her moments. I will say that. Usually it's just like, of course, with classes and stuff like that, and you got soccer, and of course now I'm adding powerlifting into that. Like I start preseason in a few weeks, and I have an online class, so I have to be doing an online class, 3-day practices, and on top of that I have to keep my training sessions in there. Luckily we have a gym on campus, so I'm not gonna have to drive 30 minutes to the gym I usually go to.
So are you doing like with powerlifting, so it's always so different, and everybody literally is different with this. So are you what's the word? Are you doing like a 12-week prep before the show or for the competition, or are you just about 12?
12.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I have my lady, she sends me a thing every week of what I'm doing. I'll send her videos so she can like critique me usually. And she'll be like, okay, so this is what we're going to do this week. Of course, I do bench twice a week because she's not the strongest, but we're working on it.
That's okay. Hey, so, and that's the thing is, it's not even that she's not the strongest. It is just something that you're working on, and like you'll get there. And like manifesting with like the deadlift. Oh, yeah. It's no different, with the bench and everything like that. Like I believe that your mindset is huge in this. And especially because like I would watch, literally, okay, I'll give the tire as an example. Yeah. Okay. Literally like, go out there, and I went to go try it, and like, cause we were like, before we can kind of like attempt it or whatever, and like I couldn't lift it, and I was like, shoot, and that mentally messed up everyone, because everyone knew I was winning, but so like, whoa, she can't lift it, so it psyched everybody out. That was not my intention. What I go do is I go back to the tent, and I was like, I gotta step away from this. I went back to the tent, put my cleats on, my Under Armour cleats on, that I had literally worn one time to pull a truck, and I was like, let's just try, because I remember my coach saying something about like, with the turf and whatever, like you may have to like dig deep, and my tennis shoes weren't going to cut it. So I remember putting those on anyway, but that mentally, it was like, I watched every girl before me fail. And they could not get it up. They couldn't get it up. And like, it was just like, they had already psyched themselves out before they even, because I know the girl that like I was going head and head up. Like I'd win one, she'd win one. I win one, she win one. And so it came down to this. And she literally, like, she had longer arms than me. Like statistically, she should have been able to throw that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She was a little bit heavier than me. Like she should have been able to get it up. And so it was just, but it was her mental that stopped her from winning the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible to watch, because up until that point, I hadn't had any mental stuff when I was competing, really. Like I was just like in it and went in and like feeling good, you know? But it really goes to show that when you sit yourself and you say like, there's no way, I'm not lifting it.
Yeah.
Then you're not lifting it. I'm so sore right now. Like it's unreal. But I got stretched yesterday, so that kind of helps.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, no, but the whole thing is like mindset is key.
Yeah.
With anything. And I, like I said, I would watch that happen. And so many times people would be like, how were you able to lift this or whatever? I was like, cause there was no other option.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even like in practices and stuff, like it always blew my mind when people would just like, they would get so angry and so mad or whatever when they couldn't hit a lift, and then they would just leave after that. I stayed until I hit the lift. There was no not hitting the lift.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There was no option. It's like,
and
I'm lifting this,
yes,
or nobody's going home, basically.
Right, no, exactly. Like I would say there, I'd be the first one there, and then and the last one to leave. But then even too, if it was something like before I would go to a competition, like, and I know that powerlifting is a little bit different, but like I would have touched every implement that I competed in, or for most part, unless we just didn't have them available. But like I would mimic those and do all of those lifts beforehand. And so many people would not. They would do like 50 pounds less or 30 pounds less, and they'd be, okay, I'll get it at the competition.
Yeah.
Which in the beginning stages, especially when you growing and you coming up, like maybe yes. But once you get to that point though, where you kind of know your numbers.
Yeah, that's kind of how powerlifting is, isn't it?
Yeah, like you can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hit it there.
Yeah,
you
know
what I mean?
You need to, because like, what if you don't? Like, what if that's a day that you're not feeling your strongest? What if you're just not gonna hit it that day? It's one of those.
Yeah. And so it was just mind boggling to me. And so like, I remember like the one time I mentally just at one nationals, I just was not in it. And like, because I didn't have the support of people around me, they weren't there because it was in Indiana, I think where we went to. And like, it was just ridiculous. Yeah. And, it was a whole thing. And I don't know, Iowa. No, it was Iowa. It was Iowa worse. Even worse. Yeah. And so I just remember like being exhausted, driving up by myself. Like I kind of got sick, didn't feel well. Like there was just so many things. Right. Yeah. And, so it really goes to speak about the mental aspect of everything, that you do. So with, Worlds and with all that coming up, do you feel, are you feeling strong about it? Do you feel good?
Like I'm already so my coach asked me, she's like, okay, so what are your goals for the October one?
Yeah.
I said, automatically a plate on bench, because that is what I want. I want a plate on bench.
Heck yeah. That. So 130. So for people listening, 135.
Yes, 135. Yeah. I had to explain that to other people too. They're like, what's a plate? I'm like, it's a 45.
Yes. Yeah.
But so that, I forgot what I said. I think squat was like 285 and deadlift, I said about 320. So that's what I said for deadlift, because I was like, okay, I also didn't know I was going to throw up 310 the other day.
Exactly. But, right. Yeah.
So it's one of those things. But the thing is with powerlifting is that if you're making gains in squat, you may stall out in deadlift for a little bit. So it's like, or if you're making gains in deadlift, you're going to stall out in squat. Yeah. So it's just, you're kind of playing a game there, but I'm feeling good. I'm excited. My husband's going to be there. One of my friends are coming for both competitions. And so I'm going to have them. My parents are going to be there. Yeah. Like I'm automatically going to have that support team there. And I'm feeling good. I'm already manifesting. Yes. I'm manifesting it.
I love that. And you said it's Indiana, yeah? Yes. The October one? That's so funny you say that, because it's October what?
October 19th.
I literally think I'm gonna be in India the week after, literally, because my friend who lives in India is coming down. I think that week, and then I'm not looking at the calendar, so I have no idea. And then I think the week after, so I'm going up there for their they have like a big Halloween fair, and it's like a huge ordeal. Apparently, they get like decked out anyway. And so I was like, well, she just recently got married, so I want to go see like their house and all the things. So anyway, but that's why you keep saying that. I'm like, am I gonna be there at the time? Just roll through like,
hey, how is everything going?
Oh my gosh. I'd be like, no, I'd be in the crowd being like, lift it up. Like,
get it up, let's go.
Like, yeah, like, let's run it up.
I'd be like, hey, there she is.
Oh my gosh, I'm everywhere. You'll learn that. Like, a lot of my clients will always, they're like, I hear you in my sleep. Like, they'll be like, fight for what you want. Yeah, you're like love your body, whatever. And I'm like,
sure about that competition, I'll be able to hear it in my head.
Yeah.
Definitely December at least. I'll be like, okay.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And the other part of it too is that, like, I have learned so much in terms of with that fueling your body is so important.
Yeah.
And it is, people overlook it all the time. And especially like, especially with strength sports, right? Because they're like, oh, well, like I got to fuel like to do this or whatever. And it's like, yes, but you can also fuel properly. Like I didn't have like a good guidance with food, like before, like a lot of my strongman competitions. So like I would do a lot of them fasted. Like I wouldn't eat. And then I would be lifting up 400 pounds. Okay.
Yeah.
Like doesn't relate. Like, I think I had a gold bar the morning of, or the whole day before I flipped that tire. And that was my last event. Okay. So I not only had already lifted 400 pounds and then carried, I'd done a medley, I'd done all this stuff and whatever, and then to do that. Yeah. That little lot, right?
And that bar was working.
Yes, exactly right. It's like a magic bar. Like go get them all. Like use Dani, whatever my code is for it. Anyway, no, but seriously, like, and it was just again nobody cared to like check in or ask or any of those things, whatever. And so that's why it's so important in this, and that's why I hope for you to learn too about eating and fueling your body, because again, it is not just okay, yeah, we pull trucks and then we like go eat pizza. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's like how it was with all of us. And it was just, and that's when I got injured, it was one of those things where I was still eating like a strong woman, Oh, yeah. And then it was just so inconsistent and whatever. And so until I learned how to properly fuel my body, that is when, lifts started getting, as I was getting back up, but like feeling more efficient, not feeling so run down, seeing those aesthetic changes that are nice to where it's like, okay, that you don't have to worry so much about like if I would have focused on, or like I tried to focus on, but had horrible programming before, because it wasn't realistic. Yeah. When I had that with food, with strongman or whatever, I always had to still weight cut. And it was super frustrating. Yeah. Cause then you're fluctuating back every time. And I remember sitting in the sauna for freaking 12 hours. Like now I went in and out. Yeah, Logan's like shaking his head. I went in and out. Let's be clear about this. It was the co-ed Y, where I could like watch the water aerobics happening while I'm sitting there. But what I would do is I would like step out, because that was the protocol. Step out and put a water hose freaking in my mouth for like 30 seconds, and then I would get back in. And it was ridiculous. And then it got to the point where my phone was too hot. So then I can't even listen to music. So I'm just sitting here like this. Just like, you know what I mean? Like, and no food,
fight
nothing.
For your life in there.
Literally fight for what you want, 100%. And then of course I see people that I know, and I'm like super nauseous. And so I'm like sitting there, and they're like talking to me like, and I'm literally like looking at like, like trying to be like pleasant. Back and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so, no, that was awful. Crazy. But yeah, so some crazy stuff. Yeah, I'll tell you this one story. So it was like up around near Halloween. We went up to where were we at? I don't know, but it was like for the strongest woman in the forest. It was a whole thing in the middle of like nowhere. And so anyway, so we drove like so many hours the night before. We go up there, and I was like 4 pounds over what I was supposed to be for the weigh-in. Yeah. And because I regularly sat at like 193, that was kind of like a sweet spot, 194, and I was supposed to be 180.4. Okay. So I end up going to, like, I couldn't sleep the night before. My coach like, just go to sleep and like, it'll be fine. You'll magically be 4 pounds less, whatever. Hey, I will say if you de-stress,
it's like bippity boppity.
Right. He's like, you'll be fine. And there was no sauna in this town. I cannot remember the name of the town, but anyway, there's no sauna at any gym, anything. So what do? Put on my shoes, put on my sweats, put on a bunch of layers. I go downstairs, I walk on the treadmill, and I'm like, whatever. I barely, because I haven't any water, so I barely even sweat. Yeah. So I'm just like, it's not gonna work. Like I'm not, because I had weighed myself that morning. I was still 3 pounds over, and I was like, I'm done. I've made a fool of myself. This was like the competition that would get me to the nationals. Yeah. And so I was just like, dang, like I really wanted this, but it's just not supposed to happen, whatever. And I was like, just, okay, I'll wait for everybody to get up and just tell them I'm not going to make it, Well, and then I was like, I go back, I lay down in the bed, and I'm sitting there in this hotel room by myself crying. And I look down at my band. Yeah. And as cheesy as it is, it was like, get your movement in, fight for what you want, and love your body. And I was like, get up, go back down there. I turn on Thriller because it's like around Halloween time. That's my favorite jam. And I got on the treadmill and I ran, which I hate running on the treadmill. And I ran.
Running on the treadmill does something.
Right. And I ran a 5K. So I ran 3 miles and I'm sweating, whatever. I started just doing like burpees. I started doing whatever I can think of. You know what I mean?
Whatever came to mind.
And so I'm sweating, okay, at this point. And then I was like, okay, let's go to the weigh-in. I go to the weigh-in. And the lady's like, here, you can come in the back with me, because I was like the only female that was there yet. Yeah. So I go to the back with her, and I said, hey. And she's like, you can get on. And I was like, well, I'm going to take all this off. Like, how much can I take off? And she was like, well, you need to still keep like your underwear on. And I was like, okay, cool.
Fair enough.
Safe space. And so I'm standing there, and I'm like, okay. And then I don't look down. And she was like, yeah, that happens sometimes. And I'm like, oh, like, I think she's going to tell me whatever. And I was like, what? And she was like, you're exactly on the thing, like 180.4.
Oh.
Like, you can't be 180.6. Yeah. Like, you can't be 180.8.
Like, be like one little.
Right. Yeah. So a point, whatever. So she's like, and so I looked down, it says 180.4. I was like, let's go. And I literally like moonwalk out of there, put my clothes back on. And so I kid you not, my friend is right there. And he was also my coach at the time, whatever. And he sees me, and we have this like head nod, and he goes like this and like slaps a Pop-Tart in my hand. Like, and literally, because I haven't eaten in like a long time. And so he literally slaps a Pop-Tart in my hand. I smashed it. And I was like, yes. And like literally.
Got that little ounce of little sweat left out there.
West Virginia. Elkins, West Virginia. That is where it was at. I just got it back. But anyway, but like, it was one of those moments where like, I will never forget it, but it was just like manifesting, but then remembering and being like, okay, like you commit, you're going to do it, you know, and not give up. Even when it seems like there's no possible way, there's still a way, you know? And so anyways, it was hilarious, but so it was just, again, it's when you are going into these meets and things like that, like, I know you'll have a positive mindset and everything, but what is something that in terms of like injury prevention, right? So you know you have a belt, so like let's talk about that a little bit. Have you had anything, or have you like anything that you've had to deal with before?
So of course, you know, when you get when you tell someone that, I'm going to be an athletic trainer, they're like, okay, what injury did you have? You know, of course. So I've had, let me get the list out real quick.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot. Of course, it's all from like soccer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I broke my leg, like right below the growth plate on my left leg. I messed up my Achilles. I messed up the same ankle too on the same leg. That I was in a cast for a while. Okay. There's been other things. I'd had another knee. I have really bad knee problems in general, but that's just knees. Okay, that's from like everything. I've done a lot of sports, so that's just like catching up to me slowly. Okay. But of course, my back. There's not been like an injury there. It's just my back. Okay. Of course, like, and the pinky doesn't really matter that much, but I had like my wrist also like sprained or like fractured.
So all these from like soccer?
Yeah, these are from like soccer. Nothing. I haven't had a weightlifting related injury.
Knock on wood. Yeah. Okay. I got you.
Yeah. Let me just. Okay.
You're good.
But yeah, so that has not happened.
Okay.
Hopefully keeping it that way.
Yeah.
But of course, everyone's like, okay, you need to stretch. I have a friend who gets on me for not stretching. Yeah. She's probably gonna watch this and be like, yeah, you need to do that.
No, I'm serious. I used to roll my eyes at it too.
Yeah,
but like,
I do the same thing. She's like
yeah, do something. Yeah. You know what I mean?
We're working on it.
Right. Do you do like Epsom salt baths or anything?
Yes, especially like right before the competition, because I was feeling sore. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a nice little. I had like the honey Epsom salt. It was like. Yeah.
So they can get expensive, but if you look on Amazon, it's like a 50-pound bag, you know, that you can get like pretty cheap, but that way it lasts. And like, so if you look in my bathroom, I have a little like wastebasket tub full of Epsom salt.
Yeah.
So like you can use that too. I have a company that also sends me some, but that's like for my just main whatever. But like, it doesn't have to be anything lavish about it. Like I literally sit there like 2 minutes and it still helps me, but I usually do it like every night just for recovery.
I've done ice baths before.
Yeah.
Usually that's for like soccer, because especially being out in the heat, getting an ice bath feels great.
Yes. Oh, for sure.
Ice baths, Epsom salt baths are like usually my go-to things. I might make the occasional chiropractor visit.
Yeah.
I've
just
had,
for routine maintenance. Yeah.
I've had cupping done. I have a cupping set, so like I have that. I had my friend do massage gun on me before.
Yep.
I even have like a little scraper thing.
Yes.
So for like scar tissue and all that, that's a lifesaver,
Yeah.
especially for shin splints. That's a thing.
So with everybody listening, so they may be like, wow, this girl's incredible, which you are. But they may like, as we're like closing out, I want something for them to notice. Like, so you've had all these injuries, but explain to them why you're not fearful, because a lot of people, you got to think in the gym, or if they're aspiring to do, strongman, powerlifting, whatever, but maybe they have something they're like, it's like in the back of my mind, it's holding me
like
back.
A mental block.
Yeah.
I've suffered for that for a while. I did have one. But it wasn't even like from injuries. Like I've had mental block before with like, so with cheer, of course, like you got the flips and everything else. For the longest time, I struggled with a mental block of like, what if I get hurt? Mm-hmm. And it's like, what if I just like fall and
Yeah.
it is something to think about. Like when you're throwing yourself backwards, you're not like, you can't see what's gonna happen.
Right.
So it's something like to think about, especially when you're younger. You're like, I'm not gonna, like, what if this happens? Mm-hmm. So for the longest time, I was like, okay, I gotta do this, and I'd always psych myself out. Like the more you psych yourself out, you're gonna hurt yourself doing it.
Right.
Instead of just being like, okay, I need to do this.
Yeah.
So when I broke my leg, fun fact, I was playing on it with it broken because the doctors didn't know it was actually broken. So I was like, I had my little knee brace on, playing in the goal. I'm over here just chilling, my legs all green, black, blue, all the colors.
Yeah.
So. And I'm playing on it. It wasn't really. Of course, I'm running on adrenaline at this point.
Right.
I've had concussions. I've had everything, and I'm still getting back. I still go back out there because it's something I love to do.
Right.
Like soccer, I love to do. Weightlifting, I love to do. Even if I had like any injuries, I would rehab it back so I can get back to doing it.
Right.
Because it's just something that's a part of my life, and I love to do.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let that. Like some fear of, what if this happens again, stop me. So I'm like, the more I think about it, I am going to get hurt doing it. Because I'm going to try to compensate for something. Like, let me not put this much weight on this leg or something.
Yeah, and then you just end up doing something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm more likely to get hurt thinking I'm going to get hurt instead of just doing it.
Right. And also, too, for those listening, like, it is a rite of passage. I do want to say that, like, at some point, like, you will get injured. Yeah. Like, no matter what it is, no matter how small. I'm not saying it's going to be detrimental or whatever, but it's going to be how it happens. Like, we're humans, like, whatever. One of my girls was fluffing a pillow and, like, sprained her, like, wrist. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's like things happen, right? But again, the more that you focus on your form, the more you focus on actually being intentional about stuff, not showing out, not ego lifting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anytime I've ever been showing out, like, something bad has happened. Mm-hmm. So it is one of those things where it's like, listen to that intuition and being like, okay. And even like before I lifted I had farmer carries. That's where how I hurt my back, and my leg's been numb ever since. Because of that, like, but I even saw that the handles were too low. Because they're just like bad handles. So they didn't take the time to have proper equipment at the competition. Okay. And I looked at them, I was like, these are too low. Don't do it. Like, and something was telling me, like, don't lift them up. But I was like, no, I have to get qualified for nationals. I got to beat her and I got to win. I got to, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, the moment I did it, I knew. And I still finished the whole thing, whatever. Yeah. Qualified for nationals. But like, guess who couldn't go to nationals then?
Because,
You know what I mean? So it's like looking at the long game, right? And it's like being present and like being an athlete now, but also being like, okay, I can give my all, but also how can I do it the most efficient way? Yeah. And how can I be as smart as, Yeah.
And there's like a difference of like, oh, what if I get hurt? Or like, oh, I am going to get hurt if I do this.
Yes.
So it's like, of course, stop yourself if you're going to get hurt.
Right.
Like if you're if you've never deadlift before and you're like, oh, let me throw up 225 real quick. No. Right. Like exactly. that's something that's like you have to understand too.
And a lot of men, I feel like, more so tend to do that, especially in the gym and like younger guys.
I had to stop my husband from doing that one time. He's like, what if I just like, nope, don't do it.
Right. And then like, here's the thing too that you may have to deal with, because like that's something I know that I've dealt with, is that like that just because you can do it doesn't mean he should be doing it.
Yeah.
And a lot of women, they're listening right now, it's probably the flip reverse. Like their husbands are like, oh, because a lot of guys that for my clients will try to train them or try to be like, well, do this as I do it. And I'm like, tell them that you follow your own program. Yeah. You follow like my stuff, like just blame it on me, whatever, but like like Danny's like, I got these goals and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it slow. Like you don't have to show out, and it shouldn't be the same. Yeah. No matter if the roles are different, if you're the stronger, you know, whatever, that's okay.
Of course. And I've had to explain that to him too. Cause he's like, I am trying to get him in the gym and stuff. I'm like, I've been doing this for a long time.
Right.
I'm like, of course you're a man. So naturally he will be stronger than me in some things.
Yeah.
But also, and it's like, it also comes down to technique.
Yes.
I have the technique.
Right.
So of course, like when the deadlift, he might be able to do 225.
Yeah.
But it's also like, is he going to have the right stance for it? Is he going to have his back like rounded? Or is he going to have it?
Right. Can he just muscle it up or can he lift it efficiently?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love that. And so do you guys deal with that at all? Like,
so in the past when I've gotten him in there, we had like, it's so now he's a lot better about it now. But in the beginning, he was getting a little frustrated about it because he's like, I'm not used to this type thing. So I'm like, I understand that. And of course I was like, I'm like, I know you can do it. I'm like, I don't expect you to keep up with me, like with weights and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, hey, now I got him in there the other day and he was going at it. He was chilling. So we were, it's a process. And of course I'm going to help him. I'm going to tell him, I'm going to help him in whatever way I can.
Yes. And that's so great. And communicating that to people is huge. And then the other part of that is if you are somebody listening that is a strong woman and you feel like you have to dim your light, like clearly you don't. Like we both are saying this in different instances, but like, you know, that is my whole thing too of it. It's not a showing out. It's not a I'm better than you or to make anyone feel any type of way.
Oh yeah.
It is just simply like my body is my body and I can do this and your body is your body and you can do this.
Yeah.
And like we can appreciate both and not feel like it has to be this constant competition.
Even with my like gym partner, she's of course like I can lift a little bit more heavier than she can, but if she tells me she had a new PR or something, I'm like, there you go.
Yeah.
Like I am proud of her for even doing it. I'm like even lifting 45 pounds like the bar, that's still impressive for most people. You're still doing more than what most people who just kind of just sitting there not doing anything.
Yeah.
Even lifting anything at all, even body weight, that's still more than what normal people would like. I guess like the typical just person couch potato, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
That just doesn't do anything.
Right.
Like getting up and getting into the gym is more than what most people would do.
Yeah.
And you're already taking the first step anyway.
Which is huge. So tell the listeners, what is something that you are like big dreams? Like if you had to say, like I know you have the competitions coming up, right? Yeah. So like those are more immediate. But if you're like, you know, big dream, like what would be something that you're excited for that you know that you're going to manifest?
Oh, that's a.
You know, I'm all about putting stuff out there and speaking it into existence.
You gotta put me on a spot like that, though.
Yeah, of course.
So I've been thinking, of course, like they don't have anything for like. So of course, like I'm gonna power lift as long as I can, as long as my body lets me do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like as of right now, I'll say I don't know how long it's gonna take me to even get to this. This is something I'm really manifesting is like to be able to get to the pro number.
Yeah.
Which is like you have to lift a certain amount for every like so they have certain numbers and it's like you're a pro for you're classified as a pro.
Okay.
So
cool.
like so say all your numbers like all my numbers combined right now is about like 6 something.
Yeah.
So like 630.
Okay.
But so for pro, say I'm just gonna throw a random number like 1,000.
Okay. Yeah.
So that would be a pro level.
Yeah.
But of course they have one for a certain division, certain weight, everything else. So it's all different.
Okay.
But you can also classify for a pro in just a lift.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But like I want to be able to compete in a pro competition and like do it. So that is something I know it's going to take a while for me to get to it, especially since I'm still starting out. I'm still figuring out like the correct way to do things.
Yeah.
So that is something that I'm like, okay, I want to compete in, and I want to like, of course, I want to get gold or at least in the top 3.
Yeah.
So, but like, you know, gold's always nice.
Yeah, of course.
Gold's always nice. Yeah. But that is something I really want to do, and of course, like I want to get my husband in the gym as well.
Yeah, I love
want to get
that.
him in there.
That's so special. Okay, so tell us too, because I ask every guest when we're kind of closing out and everything. Right. What is something that you love about your body?
I do. I feel my friend in my head saying because it doesn't matter what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'll be walking up the stairs or I'll be walking past the mirror. I'll just automatically look at my quads because I have some nice quads, and that is one of my favorite features about myself because it's just I'll be walking past the mirror. I'll walk up some stairs, or I don't even have to do a leg day. I already automatically have a quad pump from something.
Yep.
And I'm like, you know what? That is one of my favorite things, and I love how like strong I am.
I love that.
It took a while for me to actually be okay with it, but now I'm like, you know what? Gotta go with it.
What was the kind of transition, would you say? Was there like a moment that you were like, okay, I'm good with this?
It's not, I'm not gonna say there was like
Yeah.
So it was just one day I'm like, you know what? I don't care anymore. I'm just gonna do it.
A change in mindset.
Yeah, it was a process though, because for the longest time I was always compared to people like, oh, you're, and it's just like, you know what? I don't care anymore. I'm just going to do it myself.
Right. Well, and the biggest thing is too, is what I've always said is no matter who is looking at you, you can be in a room filled with hundreds of people and they all have a different perception of you. You know what I mean? Yeah. No matter what. And so it doesn't matter, whatever. And to some people, you're going to be amazing and whatever. And some other people, they're not going to understand, somebody that lifts and that does heavy work, or whatever. Right. And so it's one of those things where like when I stopped, listening to what others had to say or, the fear of never looking a certain way or whatever, and just kept it real. Yeah. And it's like I'm not going to be 5 foot.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so people be like, oh, that's so silly. Like, duh, you can't get 5 foot, but like you can always lose weight. But again, it's like, but for me to be 120, like that's not realistic.
Yeah, that's how I am. I'm never going to be that way. So I'm like, might as well embrace it.
And but then also have like realistic goals. Yeah. And be like, like for me, it was like, can I clean up my food? Mm-hmm. Yes. Can I have better habits? Yes. Can I not emotional eat or stressy or whatever, right? Yeah. Yeah. So there's different things that like and levels to it of like, yeah, we can always be better, but because we want to. Yeah. Right? Not because someone's asking or influencing or whatever. And so, so I'm very excited, again, to get to work with you, help you with, all the things that I wish somebody would have helped me with in the beginning. And no, you're doing amazing work. You're doing incredible stuff. Is there anything you want to leave everybody with? Because we'll do a little ad read in a second, but is there anything else you want to say to anybody?
No, I'm doing good.
Okay. This was awesome. I'm so glad you came on. Oh, good. And this was your first podcast,
yeah, this
right?
was my first one.
Hey, first podcast. I love it. Well, I'm glad it could be the first.
And this couch is comfy.
I know. The couch is so nice. It's such a vibe. So if anybody ever wants to come on and be a guest, let me know and come to the home gym, see the LYB, see the house and everything. So, but yeah, it's a nice little setup. So I'm glad you could come out and you're going to do great. And tell them real quick, what's your Instagram?
Eden Lucy Daniel.
Okay, perfect.
It's all together. It is all together.
Okay. All right, perfect. And that way, guys, you can see her. I definitely want them to follow you.
Posting more content and stuff like that.
Yes, so we're going to work on that.
Yeah. That is something we're working on.
Okay, awesome. All right, guys, until next time.